Hello, patrons and friends of the Dexter Community Orchestra. We have a very special interview for you today in preparation for our concert this Sunday, March 6th. We have two wonderful soloists who will be playing in the Brahms double violin and cello concerto. We have violinist Fangye and cellist Daniel Tressel. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you.
It was great to see you at rehearsal the other day, after having not seen you for a long time.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's really good to catch up.
Yeah. Daniel Fangye and I were all friends at MSU back in the day when we were in college, and it's always great to catch up with you. How have you fared during the whole pandemic?
Well, it's definitely been challenged. Yeah, but we do the best we could do, out of the situation. And then this year has just been really encouraging that all the concerts are coming back to season and we're able to perform live, and especially with live audience. And that just changed the whole spectrum of the performing, atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be able to perform live again and have some more in-person interaction.
Yes. And since COVID, the two of you have a new addition to your family.
Yes. Our daughter, Elena, was born in July 2020. Now she's 19 months old.
Can't believe she's that old already. I feel like how much time was taken from us. Just, you lose track on where people's lives are.
I know. Yeah, she was born. She was born in the middle of that pandemic, and so we have a lot of friends and even family members who have yet to meet her. So it's kind of been a crazy situation.
Yeah. Will she be coming to the concert on Sunday?
So yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, our plan is to have her come and have a babysitter. We're kind of still working out the details, but she may be there, and so
I remember those days.
She's a little young too.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to see her, but understand if she can't come.
Yes.
Yeah, we hope she could come. One of my worry would be to seeing you on stage and saying "Dada" in the audience.
I still get moments like that sometimes. Kids in the audience. Okay, well, I understand she's napping now, so we should get through the interview before she demands your presence. But wondered first if you could each tell me a little bit about your background as musicians and a bit about what you're doing these days in your professional life.
I grew up in the Chicago area. I started out as kind of a grade schooler learning cello, and at the same time I was always interested in music composition. Ended up getting bachelor's and master's degree in cello, and then decided to do a DMA, a doctorate degree at MSU in music composition, where we all met each other. And since then have been kind of, pursuing both avenues. We play in a trio together, Fangye and I, and with harp, which has been really fun with our good friend Chen Yu Huang. And I've been doing personally a lot of teaching, teaching a lot of private cello lessons and composition lessons. I've been teaching at Albion College, although this year I'm taking a year leave of absence, partly because our daughter, who's young and needs some more attention, playing the Jackson Symphony, and play occasionally in the Lansing Symphony. I guess that's about it.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in China and then came to States for my master's degree, and then I ended up staying also for additionally, a DMA degree, and both at MSU. Ever since, oh my goodness, I can't believe it's been 17, 18 years already. Yeah. Then after that, after graduating and played with some orchestras in Michigan, and started teaching at Central Michigan University, 2013. Yeah, so yeah, I've been, just mostly teaching, and along that line, I have our harp trio as a separate project, and the performing ensemble. It's been really rewarding and fun. So we're currently working on our first recording, and then done some couple recording sessions over the Christmas season, actually, and finished the concert the past weekend. And that's mainly what has been going on with me.
Great. What are you, what rep will be on the recording?
For our trio combination, which is violoncello harp, there's not a lot written for that combination. There's two big pieces that will be on the recording, a trio by Jacques Ibert, and then also there's another big, really nice trio by a harpist, Renier, both French, which is, there's so much, there's some relationship between the French and harp that's really interesting, but a lot of harp music seems to be written by French composers. And so two really nice trios, and then some shorter pieces as well. One really interesting shorter piece that Fangye is playing just for violin and harp is a piece by Ricardo Lorenz, who was actually my music composition professor at MSU, with whom I studied with while I was there, and which is also very cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool piece. It was difficult to learn at first, but once we learned to perform multiple times, and we really just in love with that piece. And it's really interesting. It based on this, figure originated from Caribbean, and then it portrays this Jeremy Lula. It's the name of the character that wake up at the full moon and started dancing. A lot of like duo, Moon and Jeremy Lula, and the dance and the conversation. So it's really cool.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to hear it when that you're all done with it. That sounds wonderful music. Yeah. Let's talk about something completely different, though. Not French and
right.
No harp, but this Brahms double concerto that we're going to be performing on Sunday. When I started doing more and more conducting, I quickly figured out that my absolute favorite thing to do, and just what really got me hooked on the profession, was getting to do concertos with my friends. To me, it's the best. I love doing concertos, first of all, as just personally as a conductor. I find them, I love the challenge of them, and I love the collaboration and just the energy that comes into the room, particularly that first rehearsal when you get a soloist together with the orchestra and we're still trying to figure each other out and learn each other's musical voices and how things are lining up. And I just find there's just so much energy in that room, and who better to do it with than people you love and enjoy being around. So I've had the joy, I know, of getting to do individual concertos with each of you. Daniel with the Saint-Saëns several years ago. I honestly don't remember how many years ago that was.
Yeah.
And then Fangye, we did Sibelius violin a few years ago. So when we it was actually a member of the orchestra who graciously donated some money and said, I'd love to get two great soloists to play the Brahms double concerto. Would you think it'd be possible to be programmed? And I thought, absolutely. And it did not take me long at all to think of the exact two people that I'd want to bring onto the project. Just the nature of the piece, in a way, you can have, I think, the most amazing violin soloist and the most amazing cello soloist, and the piece won't quite work because they're coming from two different worlds. Daniel, I know you've played part of this piece before, and Fangye, you're approaching this one for the first time. Is that right?
Yeah, this is the first time playing.
How are you each finding the piece right now, at this point in your career?
Yeah, for me, I as you mentioned, I have some history with this piece, and actually my sister, so when I first encountered this piece was back in high school. My sister was a violinist, and she was, my sister is a good 7.5 years older than me, but we would always play duos together, just for fun. And it was in high school when I first encountered this, Brahms double concerto, and was really, just enthralled with it, and ordered the music and wanted to try it out with my sister. For both of us back then, it was a little bit too much for us, but we did have some fun with it. And ever since then, I've always wanted to play it. I did have a chance when I was doing my master's degree at University of Nevada, Reno, to play the first movement with one of my violinist friends with the University Orchestra there, which was a lot of fun. But I'm really happy to have the opportunity to now play the whole thing and come back to it a second time. It's just such an amazing piece of music, and the way Brahms really, what I love about the piece is how Brahms, for a lot of it, treats the violin and cello duo as like a single instrument, where we're constantly kind of weaving together different figurations, or weaving together even a melody, kind of trading off parts of the melody. And he's able to create these really interesting, a really interesting use of the instruments as a duo. It's not just, one instrument playing the melody, the other instrument playing accompaniment. Sometimes it's that way, but a lot of the time it's kind of using the duo as an instrument, and in counterpoint to the orchestra, which in itself is an instrument too. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely a wonderful piece of music that, and it was so much fun, that first rehearsal to play it all together. Fangye, I'll let you say some things about it too.
Yeah, definitely, as what you said, in terms of the solo lines, that how intertwined those instruments are. And then also, I always feel like this is such a symphonic work. And since, this is the first time, learning this piece, and for me, and I remember at beginning, and it was just, learning the notes, I said, well, there's so many, arpeggios, and there's a lot of this going on, and those are technically challenging. But really, you're only looking at one piece of puzzle. And then when you put two solo lines together, and especially with the orchestra, and you see the whole picture, and it changed the whole meaning of those configurations. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like it's, really fascinating. And then just the learning process, it kind of reminded me also the Beethoven violin concerto. And so the violin concerto, basically you have all the broken thirds everywhere, scales. And very much so, and kind of, you don't see the overall, the musical landscape just by looking at the violin part. And really
Yeah.
interesting. Some pieces
Yeah.
play out. Yeah.
I find that
But
way
by the
about
way,
Brahm. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was thinking of one thing, and listen for audience members, listen for the opening theme of the third movement. Our daughter absolutely loves it. Whenever we practice that, she is always
Yeah.
uh,
It's a fun little
hopping
tune. Yeah.
and smiling. And anyway, David,
Yeah.
sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, that's okay. It's one thing I always feel about Brahms in a way. I'm talking about the arpeggios and the thirds and just these technical harmonic intervals. It's kind of, that's what Brahms is almost built of in a way. You don't think of Brahms as being the most melodic composer.
Right.
It just as far as melodies that you come away from humming. It's not as much the point of his music, but it's just built up on, I mean, you hear scales, arpeggios, but just the way it's crafted, and the way it's all put together with the complex harmonic language and all the different colors he has at his disposal, it becomes something just magnificent, and something that it's really hard to every Brahms piece, it has a bit of a learning curve in a way for understanding it. I think because there's so many layers of it to explore. And I love that you were talking about the different combinations of having your two solo instruments being both independent but yet focused as one, and how they're interacting with the orchestra. One thing I was noticing for myself on Wednesday night when we rehearsed is how many different moments I was able to have with each of you. You know, you have those moments between conductors and soloists where, I mean, there are times where we're each kind of, you know, we're doing our thing, things are lining up, and then there are those moments where we'll take time, or where that communication needs to happen. We instinctively have those moments where we look at each other, and it's sometimes with just a glance you can tell exactly how I can tell exactly how you're going to play something, or you know exactly how much time I'm going to take. But I was just struck by how I got to have those with each of you, and it wasn't always in the same way sometimes. And I'm trying to compare it to other double concertos that I've done before. I know I've done, for example, the Bach double violin concerto, and the Mozart Sinfonia Concertante, two pieces I've conducted before, and just, I mean, phenomenal. I mean, double concertos. I mean, two of the greatest pieces of music I think ever written. I mean, the Mozart is, it's up there, I think, for just one of the greatest. But and as complex as that piece can be for Mozart, it doesn't afford those same moments that I remember. I mean, it's much more soloists are playing and orchestras accompaniment, and then we have a moment, and then we go on. But for here, there was so much communication going on, and again, it strikes to the heart of why I love doing concertos, especially with my friends.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You know, actually, I really enjoy listening to the orchestra too, in Brahms. Every moment.
Oh, they're so exciting, and there's so much to chew on, and I feel blessed with just these wonderful players we have in the DCO. Yeah, it should be a very exciting performance. I'm really looking forward to it. So Daniel, we also need to talk about your piece. So Daniel is a wonderful composer as well, and again, just I've enjoyed having a relationship with you as a composer over these many years as well, both from our time at MSU and then working together in Jackson for a few years as well. But it's been a while since I've returned to your music, and I just can't tell you how much of a joy it's been returning to this piece. So we're performing a piece of his called 5 Snapshots, which I debuted with, was it Livingston that gave the first performance of that? I think it was back in
Yes, yeah.
2015.
It would have been at least 2015. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was at least 2015.
That sounds right. Yeah. Just such a charming piece. The thing I love about your music, just how it's easy to get into, like just kind of get hooked into and enjoy, just right from the get-go. I just always find your music just so enjoyable and fun to do. I'd love anything that you want to say about Five Snapshots, and would love to tell the audience.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was Five Snapshots. So kind of inspired by, nowadays with smartphones, taking little pictures and snapshots of your everyday life. Kind of had the idea of, kind of a shorter symphonic work made up of 5, fairly short movements, kind of depicting maybe little aspects of everyday life. And the first movement, About Town, I think is the name of the movement. And maybe slightly inspired by like, Gershwin's An American in Paris, but just, kind of imagining,
I can see that.
Just kind of walking about town, or laid back, enjoying yourself. And we have second movement, At Play. So thinking about maybe playing with a child, or back then I didn't have a kid, but now I can kind of think about, playing with my daughter. So each movement has, a little bit, a little snapshot of, everyday life. And so just each movement has its own character. And it was really lots of fun to write. It's always, writing, especially in orchestral pieces, is always a painstaking process, because first of all, you're faced with this task of well, first of all, thinking of some sort of idea for the piece to kind of take form from, and then putting together your ideas, and then orchestrating it for full orchestra. Is just a big process.
So many decisions. So many.
Yeah, so many decisions.
Some little, some of them big. Oh.
And this one, I think, having this idea of just taking 5 little ideas, it's 5 movements long, but was kind of a nice way to make the whole process, for me at least, a little bit less intimidating. Each movement is just a little idea, little snapshot from life, and was able to just focus on a little idea for each movement. And it kind of allowed it to, when I wrote this piece, for it to come together, I felt a little bit more quickly, a little bit more easily. And I think you'll find when you hear it, kind of maybe overall, I mean, still think of it as a serious piece, but
unquestionably
laid back, kind of fun character to a lot of the movements. And
even with the brevity of each of the movements, though, I do feel that your ideas are fully fleshed out, that you get just this, it's perfect, I think. I love the title.
Yes.
It really does fit. Another thing I was thinking about, coming to the piece again after I guess it was 7 years after doing it, how you mentioned having a daughter now, just how different our own snapshots would look now, right. or even our interpretation of those snapshots, what they would be, just as you take apart those different pictures throughout your life, how At Play means something different now. Because when I did it in 2015, my daughter was, she was about 3 years old then, and our son hadn't been born yet. So my definition of that play was probably very similar to what yours is now.
Right.
And another movement I was thinking a lot about, and is probably my favorite of the set, is the last one, titled "The Gathering."
Yes.
And how almost profound that one feels given the events of the last couple years, that just the aspect of gathering, and how before that seemed just, let's have a gathering, but now,
yes.
Now have a gathering, should we have a gathering? I don't know.
Right. I know.
Those
so many
questions everyone's been dealing with, but but again, it's such a joy to return to your music, and the orchestra has just been having a blast with it as well. And I think it fits into this program very nicely. And so excited to do this with you all again. And
same here. It's really so much fun.
Yeah. Just you're wonderful people and wonderful musicians, and it's like you said, great to be performing and sharing these moments once again. So thank you for coming to this today, for doing this interview. I'm sure it'll help our audience a lot, just to get to know you and get to know our music a little more. Anything else you want to say before we close off today?
Well, other than just it's been so much fun to get started on this past Wednesday, and really looking forward to the concert. And thank you so much, David, for inviting us, and for the Dexter Orchestra for having us and allowing us the opportunity to play and perform with you all. It's really been a pleasure, and really an exciting event for us as well.
Excellent. Well, again, for everyone, I hope to see you there. Our concert is this Sunday, March 6th at 4 p.m. at Dexter High School Performing Arts Center. Thank you, Fangye and Daniel. Greatly looking forward to this weekend, and hope to see all of you there. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.